here. All right, so this is on our website. So I'm just going to show you an example of a kind of standard audiogram from right here. I'll just click play and we can all watch that.
All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of the Waveform Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez Brownlee.
And I'm Andrew Manganelli.
And today we got a lot to talk about. We'll go over the last few videos, including interviewing Will Smith and why we re-uploaded a YouTube video 1,000 times manually. Then we'll get really in our feelings about Pixel 4 and the rest of the Google event this week. But then bring it back to a happy place, talking about the 2020 iPhone with YouTube friends Justine and Jenna Ezerick. Techtober rolls on. We're in it. Welcome back.
So you notice in this example, I'm sure you've all seen or even created similar things out there. There's a moving waveform, there's so often captions, and there's a static image. And then underneath that is an audio, usually an MP3 or a wave. So it's kind of all put together to make a video. So there's that's kind of the standard that's been out for a few years. And then we've started experimenting on our platform with video type backgrounds. So I'm just going to show you 2 examples of that as well.
My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey, and my podcast is called Let's Talk Supply Chain. The podcast gear I can't live without. Well, there's 2 things. One is my editor. I don't know what I would do without them. And the next one is my mic flag.
So in there, you basically have a similar to an audiogram on front, and then in the back is a video. And then a third style, and there's similar things out there too. Obviously there's other ways you can make all these, but in this case, it's like taking your podcast cover art and kind of turning that into some sort of animation. So this is another example.
Podcast. Here's the number one thing I wish I had known when I started podcasting. I wish I knew about Headliner from the beginning. You see, I was doing the same thing that Headliner does, but I was doing it manually. And I was doing it in Final Cut Pro and taking so much time, and it was just a lot of work. And the fact that Headliner can do this for me saves me a boatload of time.
So that was a clip. We asked people using Headliner to send in stuff for our responses to questions for our podcast, and that was just one of those responses. So here you can see there's a moving kind of graphic based on the cover art. So let me just jump back to the deck real quick. All right, so I kind of wanted to show those examples to situate everyone around the type of video I'm talking about. You can also, you imagine what Joe Rogan does, even what Howard Stern's been doing for decades, where you video your entire recording. And that's something I suggest everyone tries. You can't, everyone has a cell phone, and the cell phone takes video. So there's you could just experiment. Like if you're going to sit down for your next podcast recording, just set your phone up, hit record, and see what you get, and just see how it performs. I think with social media, a lot of it's about trial and error and figuring out what resonates with your audience. So that's important. And so kind of in the spirit of that, we had read all these stats about social media video performance, and I wasn't really sure if I guess it's just hard. Sometimes you read stats out there and you don't know how the study was done. So I wanted to test it for myself. So basically it's very simple. I used the Facebook A/B testing platform and put a static image post against a bunch of different audiograms, either with or without waveforms or captions. These are all the audiograms are a video file, right? And so the best performing video was actually 6 times more effective at driving clicks to the podcast episode that was linked in there than the static image, right? And so that's pretty significant. And from what we've seen, this holds true for organic sharing as well, is basically if you're going to share stuff and you can make it video, just because people on the internet now are more engaged with video, and because the platforms that you're posting to, whatever, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, they're going to promote video a bit more too. So it'll be a bit more effective. So that's kind of audiograms against static images. So then now that there's kind of a world of these video backgrounds, we tested, and this test is very recent, we tested some of the audiogram or podcast videos that are utilizing motion graphics and video backgrounds against the classic audiogram, which you can see here with the red box. And so now in this case, a classic audiogram, which would still perform better than the static image, was kind of at almost towards the bottom of the pack compared to the video background one. So I think it's important to, if you can do audiograms to promote your podcast, that's great. If you can do video beyond that, that's actually even better, and you're probably going to see better engagement on social video. Another kind of thing I wanted to point out, so one of the styles we use is called screenshot, and it's actually a video, and we did this to kind of mimic something we see a lot online, where people will take a screenshot of the podcast listening app and then put that up to promote it on social, and maybe throw some audio under that and make it into a video. But that one actually performed worse than the classic audiogram style, which I was kind of surprised by. Whoops, where are we here? Okay. And so I think takeaways from this are, one is don't screenshot your podcast in a listening app and share it. As there's a lot of other better things you can do to promote your podcast online. I mean, try it out. If it, I mean, I would say like it probably won't do that well, but I'm sure someone out there will prove me wrong. But so there's that. And then I think audiograms are great, but we can all do a bit better now. They've been around for, I think, 4-5 years at this point. Maybe a little bit less, but they've been around for a while, and they're good, and they serve a purpose, and they're a quick and easy way to get stuff out and do. It's much better than posting images, just static images. But I think there's a lot more that can be done now, and I think it's time for podcasters, and we're trying to help to get to that next level where you can get better engagement from these videos. So I've talked to thousands of podcasters in the past couple of years. And the main reason I hear that people don't use video is that they say they don't have the time and they don't know what to create. And so basically from now, the rest of my talk, I'm going to show you a little bit into Headliner, a kind of like a demo of it. And after that, you'll have the time and you'll know what to create, because we have a lot of kind of options in there and templates and things that you don't really have to do much work. And it's also, it's free, so that also is good. So let me see. And then let me see. Okay, yeah, and then also just quick, you can screenshot this or whatever, but this is a link. We do have a pro version, so if anyone wants that, this is a link for a free month of the pro version too. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here, then kind of jump into tech demo, and then let me see. Let me see. I'm going to go through too. I just missed. There's a few questions here, so let me just go through those first. Okay, question. Go New England Patriots. All right. I don't know. We'll see about, can they be the same without Tom Brady? I don't know. I'm actually up in Cape Cod right now, so it's very top of mind for everyone. Okay. If you use an audiogram, this is a question here. If you use an audiogram from your podcast episode and it is 1 minute in length, will it count as a download, for example, in Libsyn's dashboard? So if you're using Headliner from Libsyn, like we're integrated with Libsyn and Castos and a bunch of other hosts, if you use it from your host, it shouldn't count like towards your own downloads at all, actually, because by being a customer of Libsyn, you actually have access to use Headliner videos. So you can just get in there and make videos. All right. Okay, I use Headliner. I like it. What's the average time you recommend for a Headliner clip? I think it depends a little bit on the platform. Like if you're doing an Instagram story, the limit's 15 seconds there. I think under 2 minutes is definitely for any platform, like under 2 minutes. Well, I shouldn't say for any platform, with a little caveat. If you're uploading your whole episode to YouTube, then you might want to do up to, your whole episode, which could be a few hours. But for like Twitter and these other platforms like that, I think like under 2 minutes for sure. And then what we see on average in terms of the length, the videos being exported from Headliner is around 30 to 45 seconds per clip. Oh, and that was actually the next question. What's the average time you recommend? Oh, sorry. No, I just read that. I'm clearly a little confused today, as every day. And yep, can you link to the whole episode in the video? Yep, you can. So you can totally create a video of your whole episode using Headliner. And so how would you compare and contrast your service with Overcast clip feature? So the Overcast clip feature is built into the listening app. It's pretty cool. I think it's like built, and I could be wrong here, but it's kind of more from the listener's perspective in a sense. And I'm not sure how many different options there are in terms of customizing it for your podcast. Ours is more like a separate service that is only built for making videos to promote your podcast, right? So it's not, it's all we do. So you can imagine it's got a lot more features and customizations and stuff. So you can make something that looks very specific to yours. So the difference between Wave and Headliner, I'm not 100%. I mean, they basically are another audiogram creator. The guy, I think Baird started them. They're a great service too. And I guess, since we're somewhat competitive, I don't use them a ton. But basically, from what I know, they're kind of like an audiogram generation tool. And then whereas we kind of focus on audiograms plus video, we have like a timeline editor, so you can make full-on videos in Headliner if you need to as well. But I think, what I say to everyone is, try out the tool that works for you, and totally cool. Everyone should use whatever works best for them. When will you guys give us the ability to include our own video as a background? Yeah, so you can, you can do that. You can do that in Headliner now. You can take any piece of video that you want and turn that into a background in Headliner, and then you can have audio from your podcast or whatever. You can use GIFs as well. Basically, any type of media can be there. So another question, take a couple more questions, and then I'll kind of jump into a demo. So can I upload? Yep. So you can upload a video clip of your interview into Headliner and use that to add on captions and stuff like that. Cool. So yeah, thanks for all the great questions, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. And I think when I share my screen, I have trouble seeing the questions. So I'll share my screen for a little bit and then check back in, and then we'll be good. Okay, so let me just share back to here. So where did that go? Share. Hold on. See, I'm having one little issue here. Hold on a sec. There we go. Chrome just wasn't showing up for some reason on my share. All right, so I'll give you guys a quick overview of Headliner so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about, and all the stuff I'm showing you, you can do for free in Headliner. So you don't have to, you can just basically try it out. And if like for some reason there's something I'm showing anyone here that's I accidentally show you something that's not free, just shoot me an email, oliver@headliner.app, and I'll make sure you have free access. Okay, so inside of Headliner, this is the main area. We have a bunch of different wizards. So each of these kind of allows you to make a different kind of video. Audiogram Wizard allows you to make audiograms up to 10 minutes long. You basically take a short clip of your audio, add a waveform, add captions, and then you can add all types of media to it, do whatever you want there, and export it. Full episode allows you to make a very simple audiogram. It's just a moving waveform and an image, and that's up to 2 hours long. And that basically is generally shared to YouTube. And so I think this is kind of like an interesting debate people have in the audio world about whether or not they should share their podcast to YouTube, just because YouTube is more made for video. And I think I always say yes, just because there's a huge audience on YouTube. It's good for SEO to be on YouTube. And if if you're out there trying to get followers and listeners and subscribers, why not? Also, I work at a video creation tool, so obviously I'm biased, but outside of that, I really think just in general, any audience that you can find in any way, you should go for when you're out there promoting yourself. Video transcript, if you start here with an actual video and you can upload the video, say you do a recording of your podcast and you want to add captions to it, you can upload that and put it here. And then podcast audio videos is another section where you can basically link your RSS feed up to Headliner, and then we will automatically create videos for you as we go. You set up your feed, your template, and we make videos. So let me just see if I have a couple more questions. Okay, cool. Nothing new there. Okay, so I'm going to try to breeze through this just in the interest of time and to make sure we have time for Q&A and all that. So first off, I'll just kind of show you the Audiogram Wizard very quick. So first off, you add your audio and you decide if you want transcriptions on or off. Select your language. I'll just turn them on. So you can upload your clip or try and find your podcast here. So you just search for it. Let's see. This is our podcast. And so it's going to pull that up. You pull, this is the last episode. We'd asked some podcasters in our newsletter, what's the one piece of podcast gear you can't live without? So I'll just select that episode. So then it brings you to a clipper. And here you can type in the start and end times manually, or just kind of clip by dragging this around. I'm going to make it super short because this is a live demo here. So then you choose your aspect ratio. So we handle basically the three main ones, landscape, square, and portrait, depending on where you want to post. Square is the most popular because it works well on desktop and mobile. So most videos are square at this point, but I'm sure all this will change in the next few years, depending on what type of screens we all have, who knows. All right, so now you can choose from any pre-made templates you have here, or save templates, like your own templates, or there's actually ones you can choose from that have been pre-made by Headliner. So these are just some of them here. So I'll just choose this one with the square. So now you can customize the audiogram in this step, where you can adjust the waveform, the color, the style. You can change the background image, add text, add a progress bar if you want, all that kind of stuff. So now if you've kind of have what you want, this is actually a very new feature. This was just released last week. You used to have to go into the advanced editor for every time, but now you can just hit export and it'll create your video. Or if you want to get a little more advanced, I think I saw the question about adding a video, so I'll just kind of go to that. You can open up your project directly within the editor and then add all types of stuff to it. This will just take a second. All right, so this is kind of your project in the advanced editor. And so just to answer that specific question, if you wanted to change this background from right now, it's this square, I'm going to hit replace, and then you can upload your own video here, or I can search here and find some stock video. So I'll just look for, let's see, how about a smiling dog? I don't know what's going to come up. Okay, so here's a kind of, how about this one? Actually, let's go with this dog. So now basically this clip you can preview. You can see that smiling dog obviously has nothing to do with what's being talked about in the video, but you can see the video can be added. So now it's going to take that video. This is a kind of an image library that we have built into Headliner, and add it in here. And so you can see, I mean, obviously I'm not a designer, but you can see that video Headliner is now in the background.
And you can just kind of keep
of your video. Whoops. So yeah, that kind of shows you basically the rough way to make an audiogram here. And then if you want to add a video, you can do that. Okay, I see another question. Okay, can it do subtitles? Yep, it can do subtitles. So all that is, I'll just click, oh, you can click answer live. Very cool. Okay, let me just close that. So for subtitles, that's all up here on the left in the transcript pane, and you can actually adjust the style to different styles here. Text-wise, these are preset ones. You can change to all these different fonts. You can also upload your own fonts into Headliner, so it totally matches whatever branding you have. And then you can kind of do this animation, which will change from one color to another, kind of like karaoke style. So I'll just show you that real quick.
keep adding, right? So if you sign up 10 friends, you get 10 free.
So that's kind of that. So yeah, all that's available in here. So I see one more question here. What do we need to record our podcast in a video? So for that, I would say there's a lot of ways you can do that. And so that's not really in the scope of Headliner. I just want to make that clear. Like, we don't do that. But I think one of the things a lot of people do is like kind of what we're doing now is just record on Zoom or on Skype or another video chat app, right? So you can kind of go into Zoom, interview your guest over Zoom, record the video, and then at the end of that, you'll have a video that you can then cut up into little promotional videos. You can edit it down to the final podcast episode, all that kind of stuff. Another thing you can do is set up, it's a little more involved, but you can set up, you could, use one or two or a few cell phones, like mobile phones, or if you have a webcam, set those up and then record in your studio and then edit those down in iMovie or whatever else you kind of are comfortable using to get that done. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay, question. I am new to podcasting. What is an audiogram? Is Headliner used for when you were promoting your podcast through a trailer? Yes. So basically, an audiogram is kind of, so originally I think this started way back years ago. People were talking online about how there's this like article that came out on Dig saying that audio could never go viral. And so some people, not us, some people got together and said they were going to try and solve that. And so I know there was a group at WMIC created an audiogram generator. And basically they said, okay, let's see if we can make audio go viral. And so to do that, they basically said, okay, well, the internet's visual, so let's make the audio into a visual format. So they took an image, a moving waveform, and they got that onto the web and saw how it did and tried to make audio go viral. And so an audiogram is essentially one of the only ways you can, or video at least, is one of the only ways you can actually share your audio on social media, because, if anyone's tried to just drop an MP3 into social media, it just doesn't work. So this is kind of a way to promote yourself and to give people a chance to listen to your voice and sample before they get to the podcast. So if someone is scrolling through their feed, they see an audiogram, they turn the sound on, they hear you. It might, if they like your voice and they like the message, they're going to go check it out and hopefully subscribe and keep listening to the content you're putting out. Okay, so would it be a good idea to use Headliner to make a video of an entire episode to post to YouTube by adding photos that match with the discussion? I wonder if that would take quite a bit of time to create, but not optimal for YouTube. Yeah, so you can do that, and we've talked a bit about making like a maker that would allow you to do like almost like a long slideshow. And so Ringer podcast does a lot of these where they have they'll take their whole episode and then put in specific images as they talk that match what's being said. And I think it's a good idea to try out. It could take a lot of time. It could also be somewhat simple. It's kind of up to you how much effort you want to put in there. But I think for sure just getting on YouTube is a good thing, just because that audience is there. And a lot of people put on YouTube, especially now that we're all kind of potentially home. Well, most people are home. And we might just want some background noise. So, people will do that with YouTube. A lot of people use YouTube as an audio listening app, even though it's made for video. So I definitely think it's a good idea to be there. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to hop back and let me see. We've gone over the audiogram. Full episode, I won't really go through too much, but it basically creates a simple audiogram up to 2 hours long. Video transcript, I'll show you real quick. So if you have video, and it doesn't have to be a podcast, it could be any type of video, and you want to add captions for social media, this is pretty useful. I don't know if I mentioned, but about 80% of video, if not more, on social is watched with the sound off. So if you want to make sure your message is across, you probably should consider adding captions. So in this case, I'm just going to use our sample file, basically, but you would just drag your video in here, and then it would transcribe it and add captions. So this is a a German interview of Peter Buck from REM from the 80s. It's a nice guy. I found this video on YouTube and they're free to use. And then I actually contacted him too and just asked him if it was okay. And he said, yeah, that's great. So here we go. So basically it's taking in this video, transcribing it, and then adding captions to it. So I'll just show you kind of what spits out here. And then, you'll notice like small mistakes because it is like that we're using Google right now to do the transcriptions here. So it won't be 100% perfect, but you can go in and edit them as needed. So I'll just...
What's Georgia like, or Athens like?
It's a real small town. It's real conservative, but it's got a college in it.
So I'll just stop real quick. You can see this style here, but kind of like we showed you before, you can change it up to any number of styles here.
A lot of kind of wild kids.
Why?
Aren't all college kids wild?
You can see there like Ardell, so it should be aren't all college kids wild. So you can just edit that, move stuff around.
I never went to college. I don't know.
And then export your video. And then you basically have, whether it's your whole video or a clip of your video, it now has captions so that it can be read by the people on social that aren't listening. All right, let me see. I have another question here. Okay, did I miss one? Let me see. Okay. I think, okay. Oh, my bad. There was no question there. I just saw a little notification. Okay, cool. So the last thing I want to show you is the podcast auto video thing. So the one thing that basically everyone, and I mean, even for our podcast, I can say the same, is that it's just like you don't have enough time to do what you need to do to get your podcast out there. Like you always just need more time. And so one of the main things people have always said to me about these videos, when I would ask, like, for the first year, I asked every person that left, well, at least try to. I didn't always get responses, but I try to ask everyone, like, oh, I noticed you stopped making videos, or you aren't doing it anymore. Why did you stop? And I was kind of worried people were going to say they're stupid. I don't like your platform. But surprisingly enough, almost everyone just said, I just don't have the time to make them, but I want to keep making them. So last August, we started making this automation tool. So basically try to just solve that problem. If you're super busy, but you still want a video to promote your podcast, like you can still have one. So for this tool, basically you just go in here. I'll just do this real quick for our podcast. So you find your podcast, select your language, you say what type of video you want. So if you're making, you can set up as many automations as you want. You go here and you say, okay, I want a video. How often do you want a video? Do you want one per each episode you do? Do you want one every day? Do you want one every week? So if you say, I want a video every day, no matter what, it'll go through and find a video clip for you and send it to you. You also choose the video length based on the platform where you're going to be sharing it. So you can choose anywhere from 15 to 60 seconds. And then you can choose to hide or show captions. So for this, I'll just show you once per episode, 15 seconds long. You can also do the full episode one too, if you want. So now you choose the aspect ratio, just choose square, and then you just choose a template for it. I'll just pick this. I'll just choose this classic one again. Why not? So now you kind of similarly have set up your audiogram here. You just click start getting videos. And now anytime you publish a new episode, you'll get a video that you can share from Headliner. You get an email from that and you can edit it. So all of the videos go into this area. This is the automation CMS area. And so you'll see like each of your episodes and then how many videos have been created for it here. And if you see one that has a 0, you can just click it and it will start making any templates you have will then be applied to that episode. Another cool thing you might be wondering is how do you decide what to pick for the audio clip? And so our team, we're eight of us, but most of us worked together at our previous company where we had a blogging tool. It was called Enrelate, and so for that company, we worked on about 100,000 blog and publishing sites, and we were just ingesting and sifting through tons and tons of content and helping people find related content by identifying interesting keywords and phrases and sentiment analysis and all that stuff that I personally don't know a ton about, but the rest of the team does. And so we've kind of applied that now to audio. So we're going through and trying to identify interesting clips. But I know a lot of people know the clip they already want to use. So if you don't like the clip that we chose for you, you can just click in here and then click choose another clip from this episode. And you can see the ones that we identified up here. You can choose one of them, or you can just reclip there, type in your time codes or whatever it is, and click update, and you'll get a new video with that. So that's you know, a really basic kind of quick overview of Headliner. I hope it was useful and interesting and to everyone. And yeah, I see. Let me see. There's another question here. Okay. Okay, I could take the video of the audio episode from my podcast on Libsyn and then transcribe it into your service and get the video with the text. Yeah, so yep, you could take the video of the audio episode from your podcast on Libsyn, transcribe it in our service, and get the video with the text captions. Definitely. And then we send you our video recording of our podcast. Yeah, so you can send the video. You can send a video or audio into Headliner. And then it can be turned into these promotional videos. And that's correct. The next question is, so Headliner doesn't record videos. We record them and upload to you. Is this all free? So yeah, so Headliner doesn't record videos. You record video or audio and then use Headliner to convert it into something that's ready for social media. And so for the most people, it's free. I mean, we have a few tiers. We have like an enterprise level. We have a free tier. And then we have a paid version. And so most people are pretty good with the free tier. You get 10 unwatermarked videos a month. And then after that, there's a watermark. But anyone, you know, going on this conference can use the code to get a free month of the paid version, which is 12. I should really know this. I think it's $12.95 a month. That's right. It's $12.95 a month. But, you know, anyone listening to this and checking this out, just shoot me a note. And you know, we'll think like kind of like this thing, like the pay what you can thing. Like I can set up something for you if you want the pro version and want to try it out. We can figure something out for sure. So yeah, let me just hear. And there's one other thing I want to show everyone that we just released. That's kind of like, I just think it's fun. And this is on Twitter. So we have this thing now where this is an example of what it is. So someone here, if you share a link, if you find or share a link to any like podcast hosting site, like Apple's, Spotify, Anchor, wherever, right? And you just go to that, and in the comment string, you tweet at Headliner clip preview, it'll actually just send you back a video in that chain within a few minutes. It's just a Twitter bot we set up to make it super simple to just get a video preview real quick if you want to. It's been kind of a fun thing, and we're going to see where it goes. But yeah, so that's kind of an overview of you know, audiograms, making videos to promote your podcast, and obviously Headliner. And so my email, if anyone wants to get in touch, is oliver@headliner.app. That's oliver@headliner.app. And if anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm around. I'm here and ready to answer them. Okay.
Hey, Oliver, well done.
Yep.
This was amazing. I noticed one of the questions or one of the comments, if you can share that URL again with the promo code.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if you can show that, but we're also, everybody that registered, we're also going to, after the fact, we're going to send you all the promo codes, not just from Oliver, but from all the other speakers as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I'll just drop that right in the, thanks.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. Answer. Whoops. Oh, I hit the wrong button. That's fine. I answered the wrong question with the promo code, but okay. The question is, I can stop sharing here. Okay, so the questions, okay, done. Okay, in the podcast auto videos tool, could you change the image if you want, or it just pulls podcast or episode image only? So yeah, you could change the image. You can make your own template with whatever image you want, and it'll do that. And then also you could go into the project after the fact and just swap out the image for a new one. So that's that. And then let me see. Oh, here in the chat, I'll just put there's that code again. And then also, let me just put that's my email. If I can help anyone with anything, any ideas, definitely get in touch. I am responding to emails whenever I can, which is pretty much all the time. I got up today, I just couldn't sleep. So I got up at 4 and just started writing to emails, That's just how it is.
Nice. Well, let's give it up for Oliver. Thank you for your content. Thank you for the promo code specifically, and for sharing your email. That's going to go a long way for everybody that's on this. We really appreciate your time.
Cool.
Now, we have a few more minutes. Let me ask you this as we kind of wrap up. Because you're in the industry, you've been around for a little while. What's podcasting going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years, especially when it comes to the effects of the pandemic?
Well, I think oh man. So I know it's changed for me. I used to listen to, this isn't going to sound great, but I used to, take the subway to New York City every single day. I was on the train, it should have been a 40-minute round trip, but it used to take up to an hour and a half a day. And so I listened to most of my podcasts during that commute. That isn't happening anymore. Right. So I was listening to I don't know, 10, 20 podcasts, easily 10 to 20, 30 to 2 hour long podcasts a week on the train. So I'm not doing it anymore. And so now I'm basically listening to 1 or 2 a day, but not always getting through them. And so I think one change is when, I think it's going to be about instead of casually listening, I think people are going to be more really focused on very specific things they want to listen to. And they're going to be a little more discerning in terms of what they listen to. And I think that's why, I think one thing related to that is that people are going to need to do more. I mean, it's not like you didn't have enough work to do already promoting them, but I think it's going to get a little harder to promote the podcasts now that people are potentially listening a little less. But I think, listen, this is all going to last for maybe a year or 2, but it's going to come back and everyone's going to listen more. Another thing I think is, I've noticed, I think I've read some stats that browser listening is up because people aren't necessarily listening on their phones because they're not traveling, but they're still listening on their browser. So it's I used to only listen on my phone, and now I've been listening on, if you're familiar with the website Chartable. Sure. I've been sampling stuff there because it's if you're on your browser and you're on a laptop, it's a great place to go check stuff out. But I think aside from that, I do think whether or not Headliner is the answer or whatever. And, I think what we're doing now, right? You see our faces and we're talking. I think that's the real future here. I think it's going to be a lot of video, a lot of people out there recording their shows and just doing that. So.
Yeah, as much as we like for the Outlier Podcast Festival, as much as we like hosting these live events, right, face to face, we've had to shift a little bit because of it, and we're doing this now. Yeah, we're reaching obviously larger audiences, people from the UK, all over Europe, that are tuning in because now they have an opportunity to tune in to maybe somebody that they didn't have access to before, and so we're grateful for this, and it's a little bit different. It's not. We're still kind of getting used to it, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast being able to kind of share everybody's content around the world now.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one nice thing about it is, and I also think it's this is kind of speeding up where the world is heading anyways, in a lot of ways, just being, things going virtual. And so.
Yeah, I just read that, and on this, Twitter is giving the option to all of its employees to come back to the office or not. Or work remotely, and I think there's going to be a lot more of this video chatting going around because of it. And I think Twitter's obviously one of the ones that's going to do it. I think a lot of other companies are going to start doing it as well when they can.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So hop on board, start your podcast if you haven't already. Contact Oliver. He has he shared his email address, the promo code. Oliver, obviously the real deal. And Oliver, thank you for doing this. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much.